Okay, so we're going to talk about static polymorphism, which is really, we should stick technically to the term compile time polymorphism, because of the fact that we don't want to get too attached to the term static or dynamic. We really should stick to the proper term, which is, in the case of static, compile time, meaning that we are going to overload some particular methods or functions that operations that we want to do, and we want them to be there all of the time whenever we run the program. So if we look at the class that I generated first, you can see here that I have three methods called postbox. The only way that you can do this is so that anything inside of this where you're passing parameters in is different. If they are not different, if they were the same, you would get an error message that would say that they are not different, not unique, and it simply wouldn't let you compile at that particular point. Okay, so I have a class, and I've called it unimaginatively static class, so that you can see that that's what that is. And it has three overload situations. Two of them are numeric, one of them is an int, one of them is a double, and it is converted back to a string, and this one passes in a string, which is then immediately passed back out. Now the reason for this is, in your example in the handout, they do a console write line in a similar fashion in those particular things. But with a form, the form expects you to do all of the form action in the form, and it would be a lot more work to try to do anything with that particular construction. So I'm just passing it back, and then when I get to the form for the static one, I simply place each particular item into the text box that I've set up for output. Okay, so here's where I pass something, in this case an integer 5, into the postbox method, and then it comes back out. I'll show you here really quickly. All of these return a value of string. Okay, so when I am getting the value back out, okay, I set it into the text box, which is here, into this text box, and it outputs it. I put a message box in between each one so that I can do 3 of them. Just, click next, click next, click next, so that I can see the different values that are coming up. So if we run this, and you can see I have the static button, so if I hit the static button, it puts the integer in first, and then I have to click next, and then it puts in the double next, double in here next, and then I click next again, and it puts the words in there from Sierra. Let me move this a little bit here, and I'll do it again. You can see I had set up three different things to put into postbox. I call the variables simply I for integer, D for double, and S for string. And all 3 of those go to the postbox method, which is, again, overloaded. Okay, so there's the 5 that I'm passing in here, over here at this first call, and then in the next one there's the double that I set up and passed in here, and then lastly I had passed in S, which is the word Sierra, and passed that in, and then it outputs it into the text box. Okay, so fairly simple and straightforward. Ignore this for the most part here for the moment. I'm going to do a separate video for each of the items that we call dynamic. Again, dynamic is a bad phrase in as much that we should call it runtime polymorphism. Okay, so stay tuned for more videos.